If you've ever found yourself second guessing your pricing, wondering if you're charging too much or too little, or feeling like you're working for a ton, but not seeing the bank account match your effort, this episode is definitely one you want to listen to. Welcome to the Handyman System Podcast, your ultimate guide to building and running a successful handyman business. If you are an aspiring or working handyman or contractor and you're looking to learn business pricing, marketing, or automation strategies, you have come to the right place. So join us as we dive into the actual tips and proven strategies to help you nail down your business goals and renovate your path to success. Your hosts are myself, Becca Ellison. I am the CEO of the Handyman System, a marketing agency that helps handyman businesses thrive, and I am often joined by Caleb Ingram, the CEO of North Seattle Handyman. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to the Handyman System Podcast. I'm super glad you're here because today is an important podcast episode. We're talking about pricing and specifically how to decide between charging hourly or offering flat fees for your handyman or home service work. This is the kind of stuff that sets your business up for consistent profit or keeps you stuck doing way too much for way too little. If you've ever found yourself second guessing your pricing, wondering if you're charging too much or too little, or feeling like you're working for a ton, but not seeing the bank account match your effort, this episode is definitely one you want to listen to. Before we even get started with whether you should do bid rate or hourly, we need to start at the very beginning, and that is your internal hourly rate. Let's start with your internal hourly rate. Before we get into whether you should talk about hourly or flat fee, we have to talk about the foundations, which is your minimal viable hourly rate. This is your internal rate, the number that tells you what you actually need to be earning per hour for a job to be worth saying yes to. And here's the thing, most people don't figure this out. They just pick a number based on what they think other people are charging and what they think clients are going to say yes to. Most often, that number is very off, and it's a fast track to burnout. So how do you figure out your internal hourly rate? You start by adding up your monthly expenses, both business and personal. That includes tools, software, truck payments, insurance, marketing costs, plus the things that you need to pay yourself, right? Your rent, mortgage, groceries, utilities, all of that. What would you need to get paid if you were employed by someone else? That is your personal rate, and then your business expenses on top of that, right? So you want to know how much you actually want and need to pay yourself. It's your paycheck from your business, not leftovers that happen to be there, right? Then we need to add, for the joy of taxes, add in about 25 to 30% for taxes and throw in a bit of a buffer for savings because something's always going to go wrong, something's going to break, or you're going to want to upgrade gear at some point. So once you have that number, your total monthly amount to run your life and your business, you're going to divide that number by the number of hours you can realistically bill each month. And it's not going to be 40 hours a week. You want to aim for 30 to 32 billable hours a week, and that's about 120 to 128 hours a month. When you do all of that math, you're going to come out with a number, and that number is your baseline. If a job doesn't meet that hourly rate, you say no. If somebody says, can you do it for less, and it's below that rate, you say no. Or you go back and you say, let's price it differently to make it worth your time. This isn't necessarily the number you tell clients. It's the number you keep to gut check whether a job is going to be profitable, and that's what we call your internal hourly rate. Now, your hourly rate is going to be $100. So now you have your hourly rate or your flat fee and deciding which one is better. The truth is they both have their place. Let's talk about both of them. Charging hourly, super straightforward. You do the work, you track your time, and you invoice how many hours it took. Clients pay for your time, super simple. You say, hey, I think this is going to take me 3 hours to do. You get there, it takes you 3 hours, you bill for 3 hours. If it takes you 2 hours, then you bill for 2 hours. The upside is that it's really easy to start with, especially when you're newer and still learning how long certain tasks are going to take. And it also protects you when things go sideways, right? So if there is unexpected damage, different things, the client keeps changing their mind, you're getting paid for every hour you're there. Even if at the beginning you thought this was going to take 3 hours, then it takes 5 hours, you charge for the 5 hours. The downside is that you're trading your time for money, and that's going to put a ceiling on your earnings. And it also opens the door to clients micromanaging your time. Let's be honest, nobody wants a homeowner hovering over with a stopwatch. One thing I see often is handyman clients of mine send out an estimate saying, I think it's going to take, let's say, 10 hours. The job takes 15 hours, but then they feel bad and don't want to invoice for the difference. If you're doing hourly rates, you need to invoice for the difference. That's when we start to talk about flat fees and where you can really start leveling up your income and making things simpler for you. Flat rate pricing means you're going to charge a set amount for the job no matter how long it takes. Install a new faucet, that's $300. Simple, clear, easy for the client to understand. Flat fees help you build trust because the client knows what they're paying up front. And if you're efficient, you can make more money in less time. So let's say that bathroom faucet you quoted $300 for only takes you 2 hours. You're still going to bill them $300. So you just made more money. But the flip side is that flat fees come with a catch. You are taking on that risk. If the job takes longer than expected or something comes up, you're eating that time unless you've built in a buffer. So let's just be honest, build in a buffer. And it's key for you to remember that if the job takes longer than expected or something comes up, you're eating that time unless you've built in a buffer or been very clear in your bid to specify if the job goes out of expected range. Like you end up having a huge amount of drywall because there's a bunch of mold behind a vanity you were replacing and that wasn't in the original bid. If you've been smart about your descriptions in your bids, you have the opening to change their, we'll just skip all of that. Flat fees help you build trust because the client knows what they're paying up front. And if you're efficient, you can make more money in less time. But flat fees do come with a catch. If the job takes longer than expected or something comes up, you're eating that time unless you've built in a buffer. So which one should you choose? It really comes down to what makes you more comfortable. But here's some things to think about when deciding between flat rate or hourly pricing. And the key here is predictability. If the job is something you've done 100 times, you know exactly what it takes, flat fee is perfect. Think about installing a garbage disposal, replacing a light fixture, hanging a TV. Those are clean and repeatable jobs. But if the job has a lot of nuance, like there are a lot of unknowns, you can't see the full picture without being on site, you're better off quoting either an hourly rate or a custom project bid. Like patching drywall. It sounds simple until you realize the paint is textured, the wall had water damage, and now you have a bigger issue. So those can be a little bit more specific and needing a custom quote. So when you're in doubt, if you can't clearly see the full scope, you don't want to lock yourself into a flat rate. You protect yourself by quoting after a site visit, going hourly, doing a video call, or getting pictures of what the project is beforehand. Let's talk about the next stop, which is site visits and minimums. One of the best things you can do for your sanity and your bottom line is to have a minimum site visit charge. We recommend setting it at a 2-hour minimum. So if your hourly rate's $100 an hour, then your minimum charge to show up is $200. No matter what, even if all they want you to do is change out a light bulb. This is going to do two things. First, it's going to make your schedule more profitable. You're not running all over town for 15-minute jobs that barely pay for gas. And second, it encourages your clients to bundle tasks together. So instead of just changing out the light bulb, they're going to add in adjusting that sticking door, fixing the loose toilet seat, and hanging that picture frame. Now you have a punch list that makes sense for your time. Because remember, you're running a business. Your time and expertise have value. Just because it's easy for you does not mean it is not super valuable to someone who does not have your skills. So the thing that you got to think about and have a mindset shift on is that you're not selling time, you're selling outcomes. You're not just charging for how long something takes, you're charging for what gets done and the peace of mind it's going to bring to your client. The more you lean in and focus on that, the solution that you're providing for them, They're paying you to solve a problem, to take something off their plate, to do it right the first time. And that's what gives your work value and allows you to price with confidence. When you move into that mindset, your pricing becomes less about defense and more about confidence, saying this is what it's going to take to get it done right, and I am the pro for you to do it. Know your minimum hourly rate. Use that to guide everything, your flat fees, your minimums, your decisions. Then choose the right pricing model based on the job. Flat fee on repeatable, predictable work, hourly or custom quote when the scope is unclear or there's too much variance. Always have a site visit minimum to protect your time. And pricing affects how clients see you. You want to price like the professional you are. If this episode hit home and you need help creating your price book or calculating your internal rate, or you just want someone to look at your pricing with you, you can book a call at thehandymansystem.com/call. If you've loved this episode, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another home service business owner who needs to hear. We'll be back next week with more practical, real talk business advice to help you grow your business without the burnout. Until then, keep showing up and doing the work that matters. So that wraps up another episode of the Handyman System Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Remember, success isn't just about knowing the right tools. It's about taking action and building your business every single day. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with anyone you think might find it valuable. Until next time, keep building and keep improving.